Turns out I didn't have enough fabric for my mom's quilts because I didn't measure correctly, and when I say I didn't measure correctly, I didn't measure at all. So I went back to Joann's and I had to get 2 more types of fabric. So I picked this one and this one, which this one is exactly like the orange one, just in like a turquoise color. So here they all are together, and I hope it's gonna turn out good. Got my green tea from HTO. It's just an unsweet green tea. I have to go back to Joann's again because my rotary cutter broke last night, and now, even though my boyfriend kind of fixed it, it's like wonky tonky, and it just doesn't work well because it was a cheap one. So I've got to go get another rotary cutter. I just feel like I keep going back to Joann's to get one more thing to finish this quilt, so hopefully this is like the last thing. I have been procrastinating. I'm so scared to start this because I just, that voice in my head that's like telling me I'm gonna mess up and ruin the whole quilt. Okay, deep breaths, here I go. I finally got all the strips sewn. Okay, here is all the strips. So they're sewn together going this way. They're all, every single strip is now sewn together going this way, horizontally, but they haven't been sewn together going down this way. So like you can see there, see? And you can see the blanket got just a little bit thinner because of all the seams, like right there, just like a 1/4 inch seam. And then it is going to get a little bit shorter because of all the seams going this way, like that. Little pinch I'm doing. But I think overall it's going to look great. I mean, it's the typical adult twin size. So that's all I wanted. I'm so nervous to sew the pieces together now and make sure all these corners meet up. I am so nervous about that. Sometimes you can be wonky with it. The lady that I'm learning from on YouTube, you know, teaches how to prevent that, but she does say, like, if it happens, it's not the end of the world. Don't rip your quilt apart. So I'm gonna have to really try and not to do that. Oh my gosh, you guys, this is the first 2 strips I'm sewing together. I was so nervous the whole time. I felt like I couldn't breathe because I was nervous about these corners meeting up. And look, I did it. Oh my God, this is your sign to do what scares you. So there is one that is off. It's this one. Oh, actually, now that I'm flattening it out, it's not that bad. Do you see how it's kind of off? The corners meeting up, but it's still not that bad. But all the rest, I did it, guys. Oh, I feel like I can breathe. I was so nervous. I didn't even want to flip it over because I didn't want to see it. I was so scared. Do what scares you. Even if you're scared the whole time, do it. Don't even think about it. He is eyeing the thread on the back of my sewing machine because it's moving as I'm sewing. Watch. Do not attack my thread. You will ruin my project. Don't even think about it. Look away. All right, full disclosure, I called my boyfriend crying because of that major crooked piece. I know it doesn't seem like a huge deal, which is what he said. He said it's just my perfectionist. I'm being hard on myself. This is my very first quilt and I'm doing a good job. So I'm going to keep that in mind and I'm going to keep going. What the heck? Do you hear that? It's coming from my machine. What is that? It's a high-pitched little like... Ew. Is that normal? How do I fix that? I have finally reached the end of all of that. So here we go. Here it is, all completed. I am so relieved this part is done. I'm just sitting here for a second, resting and admiring my work. That was not a fart, by the way. That was the mattress, as you can hear. I am so relieved this part is over, not because I didn't enjoy it, just because it was my first time and I was so nervous the whole time. But after completing this, I realized the worst or hardest part is not over. The hardest part is now the actual quilting. So quilting, this is what I've learned recently with learning how to quilt. The actual quilting part is when you lay this on whatever the backing, and then you sew it onto it in whatever your chosen pattern. So you see some quilts with like the swirly thread like that. Like that's one way you can do it. You can do a straight line on top going down all the way that way. Or this one, which is the one I'm going to attempt, it's called stitch in the ditch, which basically just means you're going to stitch in the same spot, the ditch basically. This is the part where I wish I would have bought a bigger iron, because I'm going to give this a final iron before I pin it to the backing, and I have to iron this whole thing with this tiny ass little iron. I have now pinned everything down, and it's time to quilt, which means basically stitching all of this down to the backing fabric. I'm not going to stitch all the way to the end because I do have to fold this under to make a seam later on. I'm finally done quilting, and what I mean by that, hold on, I gotta come in here so we can lay it down and look at it. I'm finally done doing the quilting part, which is sewing all of this onto the back. So here it is. I think it looks great. Let me flip it over and show you what I mean. I don't know if you can really see it in this lighting, but it has a square pattern on the other side, just like how the squares are sewn together on top. So you see, because I sewed everything going this way and then coming down in the seam, on each seam on the other side, the stitch in the ditch. It feels so nice to be able to just flop it around now because it's not going anywhere, and it's just like so comfy now that you can like treat it like a real blanket. Obviously, I still have to hem the edges, like cut the excess off and hem the edges. But yeah, I just wanted to show you this part. After working on this quilt on and off for about 2 weeks. We're at the last, just literally right at the last part of the finish line. So I thought we would finish the stitch together. I'm going to try to do this while holding my phone. Here we go. And then I'm just going to tie it off. My mom's quilt is done. All right, my mom's quilt has been washed and dried. I'm about to give it an iron. Obviously, you don't have to do that every time you pull your quilt out of the dryer. I'm just doing it so that it looks super presentable when she opens the gift. Here is my mom's finished quilt. I finished ironing it. Now it's time to wrap it up.